Happy Thursday and happy opening day to all you Detroit Tigers fans out there. If you're looking for a way to stay entertained until the game against the Dodgers starts at 7 o'clock, you are in the right place. Speaking of entertaining, let's turn things over to our meteorologist, Trevor Robideau. He's kind of dancing back there.
I was just about to say, you know what's keeping me entertained? This system that we're going to get, because it is a wild one. You know how people always make fun of Michigan weather and say, like, you get snow and it turns over to thunderstorms all in one day.
Yep.
Well, tomorrow is going to be the literal embodiment of that all in one day. And so it's going to be really messy. We'll have anything from sleet, snow, freezing rain, and ice accumulation to just straight up rain, and even thunderstorms with hail will all be possible tomorrow. Temperature ranges will be a split of about 30 degrees around northern Michigan. Some spots will be in the 60s, and other spots will be just barely above freezing. Wow. And so very wild weather happening over the course of the next 24 hours and more. I'll cover all of that when we come back to the weather segment in just a few minutes.
It's hard to believe that's what's in store for us tomorrow, when right now it's sunny across much of northern Michigan. So this is your sign to get out tonight before all of the wild weather comes tomorrow. Okay, our top news story tonight takes us to Cadillac, where we continue our coverage on the PFAS situation. Now, a family in Boone Township is sharing they tested their water and learned they have some of the highest contamination levels. And I should say this is in Wexford County, so just close to Cadillac. Our Allie Baxter met with that family and has more.
People living in Cadillac in the area around the industrial park are taking a closer look at getting their private wells tested for any signs of PFAS. But what if you don't live anywhere near the industrial park and you don't even live in Cadillac? What if you live 8 miles away in Boone Township?
Never thought that being out here, I thought we'd be safe. And of course we're not. So it's pretty devastating, really.
Alicia Garber and her family just moved to their new home in Boone a month ago. But a week into living here, something felt off.
My daughter started having these like little rashes in her arms, and then like right here and under her legs and her neck. And after she would sweat or take a bath, she would just start itching really bad, and they would blister. Before where we lived, we didn't have a dishwasher, so I always free-handed wash dishes. And I was washing dishes. That's another thing, is I was washing dishes. I had this big old rash on my hand.
Alicia says her family wasn't drinking the water at their old house, so the only thing that had changed in the last month was using the water at their new home.
I just started thinking, I'm like, it's the water. It has to be the water.
These are Alicia's results, showing the level of PFAS contamination is higher than allowed federal and state levels. Alicia was told it's the highest contamination numbers advocates have seen come back from testing so far.
I did not know how bad my numbers were. I didn't know anything about PFAS, really.
Now Alicia is buying tests for all her neighbors. She's also investing in a home filtration system. But in the meantime, her family is using distilled and bottled water.
So I don't really feel safe, truthfully. I'd like to see more testing done, especially out here in Boone and other areas where there's lots of farm country. I think that if we get more tests done, then we can figure out what's going on.
Alicia's message now: if you suspect it, get a test. She was encouraged to by the Cadillac Advocates for Clean Water.
For anyone who lives in Boone, Michigan, Cadillac, Michigan, or any of the surrounding areas, we are finding PFAS contamination in many different places. The most important thing is to put yourself on a testing schedule. So test right now for PFAS, and you can get a general water test as well.
In Wexford County, Allie Baxter, UpNorthLive News.
And Alicia told us she did speak with Boone Township officials about her test yesterday, and those officials say that they are also concerned by the results. A water testing company is expected to be at an upcoming township meeting. As always, we will continue to follow this story in Wexford County and will provide you any updates. Our next story takes us to Lansing, where discussion over privacy when it comes to private properties is underway. A northern Michigan lawmaker is saying that more can be done, especially when it comes to conservation officers and private property. A bill has been proposed in Lansing that would require, in many cases, a conservation officer, much like a traditional police officer, to get a warrant before going on to private property. Our Mark Shillette breaks all this down for us.
It's a pleasure to be testifying before you today on my House Bill 4073 that would require DNR conservation officers to obtain a warrant before entering private property.
And with that, committee testimony began on proposed House Bill 4073, introduced by State Representative Dave Preston of the Central UP.
I think every long-term property owner, at least up in my neck of the woods, has a story at one point in time or another where they've either wandered across the conservation officer on their property, really not even doing anything, related to that property owner.
And this, Representative Preston believes, would help limit that by essentially requiring the DNR's conservation officers to get a search warrant before entering private property.
This bill is not designed to unnecessarily restrict the duties of conservation officers. It is designed to find a balance. We can and should find that balance and balance the responsibilities of our conservation officers with the privacy rights of our citizens.
If passed, this legislation wouldn't require a warrant if the property owner authorized access, or if the officer is actively pursuing a suspect, or to stop the destruction of evidence. But supporters say it would create a better privacy boundary for property owners when it comes to what some describe as searches geared towards finding an offense.
Unfortunately, the Michigan DNR seems to depend on these sorts of searches to enforce state law in certain circumstances.
Most everyone can probably appreciate privacy, especially when it comes to the land they own. But not everyone agrees this is necessary for that.
I'll be very clear that our officers are not permitted to randomly enter private property without a clear reason to do so.
DNR Law Enforcement Chief Jason Haynes says it's important that COs have access to private land, following best practices and guidelines in order to do their job.
78% of the lands in the state of Michigan are under private ownership. And as written, this bill would essentially translate into little to no enforcement and protection for those resources on those private lands.
And that having to get a warrant in almost every situation beyond those excluded in the proposed legislation would dramatically delay their investigation and be an unnecessary drain on an already limited resource.
A situation that could have likely been handled in perhaps 30 minutes or less. Now we've got multiple hours wrapped up into this, and this clearly takes up a lot more time of the conservation officer that could be out handling, or responding to other complaints, or conducting proactive patrols.
That was Mark Shillette reporting. Now, a second bill has been introduced that would require conservation officers to wear body cameras. Now, as of right now, both bills sit in the House Natural Resources and Tourism Committee. They are waiting for a potential vote in order to advance to the House floor. Let's take a look at our question of the day related to this story. Do you think, in most cases, do you think DNR officers should be required to get search warrants to enter private property? Scan the QR code on your screen right now. That will take you to our website where you can vote. We have 335 votes right now, and overwhelmingly people are voting yes. We will continue to keep an eye on those results and also take a look at some of your comments towards the end of the show. But before we take a break, you know that we love looking ahead to weekends here at Up North Live, especially in Northern Michigan. So many awesome events happening every weekend. Well, tonight we are looking ahead a few different weekends to an event in Traverse City. The Great Lakes Maritime Academy in Traverse City is hosting its annual open house Saturday, April 12th. So for more on that, let's bring in today's guest, Tess. She is an engineering officer with the Great Lakes Maritime Academy in Traverse City. Tess, thank you so much for joining us on Unscripted tonight.
Thanks so much for having me, Maya. I'm super excited to be here.
So let's start with some basic. I know a lot of people in Traverse City, they probably drive past your beautiful building. They might see the boats out on the water. What exactly happens at the Great Lakes Maritime Academy?
Yeah, great question. So Great Lakes Maritime Academy, we're one of 6 state maritime academies in the entire country. And we're the only maritime academy that's located in the Midwest and on freshwater. Wow. We have 2 different programs that you can participate in here. One to basically become the captain of any vessel in the entire world, and another one to become an engineer on any vessel in the entire world. So throughout your 4 years here, or possibly shorter if you have some previous life experience or previous degree, you're able to learn how to operate, navigate the vessel, all the safety equipment, everything that goes into being a sailor, you'll learn it here.
That is so cool. So it sounds like you get a whole lot of hands-on experience, and I'm sure every day maybe looks a little different, but what would like a typical day in quote-unquote class look like?
Yeah, absolutely. So depending on what year you're in, you definitely have a lot of labs. So for your engineering students, you definitely you're out there working on the engines physically with your hands. You're rebuilding pumps. You're also in simulators learning how to operate systems on the computer technical level. And as for your deck cadets, you're learning how to tie knots, you're learning rigging, you're out on the small vessels learning how to handle small vessels. And then the fun part in the summertime when we actually get underway is when you get to put everything you've learned in classes to actual practice.
It sounds not so much like school as just really great experiences.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's there's a lot of content that we go over, but when you are able to go out and go sailing, you really get a lot of hands-on experience here. We really try to treat the program like a trade school. So we really try to make sure that with your 4-year degree, you are gaining the actual knowledge you will need to go out into the fleet, into industry, and actually perform your duties the way that they should be performed.
And as an engineering officer, we see some really cool pictures of you. I know you can't see them, but us folks at home are seeing some pictures of you out on the boat and doing some different things. What has been your favorite part about being a part of all of this?
Man, I've worked in industry, and I came back to the academy to work here because I wanted to pay it forward. But I think that you cannot match the adventure that you see in this industry. You get to meet so many people from so many different walks of life. You get to travel to a bunch of different places, and you get paid for it, which is like the best part. But here at the academy, I've really been enjoying meeting all these new cadets, really helping form the new culture around cadet safety and everything at sea, and really just pushing forward for the new group of sailors.
Yeah, so how many students are typically enrolled in this program every year?
So we cap at 60 cadets every year, so 60 cadets total. We have typically around 36 to 40 deck cadets and about 20 to 24 engine cadets.
Is it a competitive process to get into the school?
We accept applications from whatever walk of life you may be in. You might just be freshly graduated from high school. This might be your 3rd or 4th career that you want to come back into. So we accept a wide range of people, but we definitely have a wait list. But that's so encouraging because we really love having a bunch of people come out and work with us.
And if people are maybe interested, but they're not sure if this is the right fit for them, I'm sure your open ship, open house in a couple weekends would be a perfect event for them. What will happen at that open house?
Yeah, so we will have some cadets out here that are going to be hanging around, just trying to make sure everybody gets through well. We'll have some informational tables set up. So if you would like an admissions packet, our admissions folks will be out here hanging out. And we'll have cadets in all different years of their training. So you'll be able to ask them, have you gotten underway? Have you sailed on the oceans? Have you sailed on the lakes? What has been your favorite? What has been the worst class that you have been in while you've been at the academy? So beyond that, you'll be able to tour a bunch of different spaces. And unlike a museum ship, this is really cool because this is a living, breathing vessel, right? We get underway in the summer. So if you like it here, you can come out and sail with us in a couple of years.
And again, that open ship, open house is April 12th, so a couple weekends from now. So folks, if you're interested, mark your calendars now so you don't forget. But Tess, thank you so much for coming on Unscripted tonight and telling us a little more about the Academy. We really appreciate it. And hopefully some people watching right now will maybe see you or some other folks during the open ship event.
Thanks so much, Mara. Thanks for letting me be here.
Yeah, thanks, Tess. Take care. All right, we do have to take a quick commercial break, but coming up next, there's a lot happening weather-wise. I know today is nice and sunny and beautiful. Tomorrow and this weekend is going to be a little crazy, as Trevor's been talking about. He'll have much more detail for you in just a couple of minutes.
I'm Jada Johnson from Big Boys TV, and the Fish and Game Report is sponsored by Johnson's Propane.
A lot happening in the forecast the next couple of days, so let's turn things right over to Trevor Robideau for more on what we can all expect. Hey, Trevor.
Hey, Maya, thanks for tossing me over. And as you mentioned, very active weather this weekend, very messy, so I got a lot to go through. Let's get right into it, starting with a look over radar around northern Michigan. Today was a beautiful day. Temperatures in the 40s and a lot of areas in the northern got into the 50s. Nice clear blue skies for the majority of the day. Really nice. And that's about where the nice ends, is tonight going towards tomorrow. We're tracking our next weather maker that's going to impact us. It'll start impacting us tomorrow in the morning, but the main impacts that we're concerned about, the most dangerous impacts, will be in the evening tomorrow through Saturday, especially Saturday morning. Impacts, snow, ice, and sleet will all be possible, and I couldn't even fit this all on there on that bar, but rain and even thunderstorms with hail will be possible along with that too. Is look at our weather headlines. The main thing to take away is the winter storm watch, which is in effect for our Straits regions. That's Emmett County, Sheboygan County, and Presque County, and our eastern upper counties. That's Luce, Chippewa, and Mackinac counties for possibility of heavy mixed precip, snow accumulations of 1 inch or more, sleet accumulations of 1 to 2 inches, especially along M28, and even ice accumulations anywhere from 1/10 of an inch all the way up to the high end of 1/2 an inch of ice accumulation in spots. All of that will be possible in those regions highlighted by the winter storm watch. Let's get right into it. Overnight tonight, clear, but we are going to have increasing cloud cover. Tomorrow morning, the system will start to arrive. We'll have some snow in spots, mainly in the eastern upper end parts of the Straits off to the northeast. Some mix will be possible in spots. Otherwise, just some light rain in spots, most like isolated light rain in the morning. Most of it's just going to be that snow off to the north. As the day progresses, the system will continue to arrive ahead of a warm front and will increase our rain chances in the northern lower, adding a little more mixed precip and snow in some spots in the eastern upper through the afternoon. Now, the afternoon into the evening and overnight is when we're having our main impacts from this system. Late tomorrow night, we'll have lots of rain, maybe not lots of rain, but we'll have mostly rain in the northern lower and along the Straits and into the eastern upper. We're going to swap a lot of that rain and snow over to mixed precip, and this is where we get into that range where it could be sleet, freezing rain with just ice, or even sleet in a lot of those regions in the Straits and eastern upper late tomorrow night going into Saturday morning. And that's where we could see the potentially very messy road conditions in the eastern upper and Straits region. The most of which that we're concerned about is the ice accumulation, which we could see, late tomorrow night through Saturday morning, potentially anywhere from, again, 1/10 of an inch up to as much as 1/4 of an inch of ice accumulation. Snowfall forecast, we could also see about 1 inch of snow in some spots in the eastern upper. Temperatures will range anywhere from the low 30s to as much as the low 60s in the southern regions tomorrow. And along with that severe storm outlook, the highlighted green there means the potential for severe storms with hail. So that's also possible. And we're going to skip to the end here, increasing clouds tonight. And then we'll also have the potential for the widespread storms tomorrow. On a night like tonight, you might want to join us live on our Facebook, which will be at 8 p.m., and I'll have a more detailed forecast for you at that time.
All right, thanks so much, Trevor. Stick around. Sports is next. We'll be right back. Sports director Harrison Beebe told me he has some, quote, cool hockey stuff to share with us tonight. So without further ado, let's turn things over to Harrison for more on that cool hockey stuff. Hey, Harrison.
Hey, Maya. Yeah, I caught up with a good friend of mine, Chris Givens, earlier this week, and we had our Jimmy John Sports Corner that we'll toss to here, talking about some pretty big career accomplishments for the guy who's held the job at Traverse City Central Varsity Hockey for their head coach for 33 years. Won your 9th regional title as a head coach this year and really threatening for a return trip to Plymouth. You know, that's got to instill the fires in you to show, hey, you know, even though I've been doing this for a pretty long time, I'm still apparently good enough to be able to get these kids motivated to make a deep run.
The regional championship this year was a lot of fun just because the kids really turned up their play a lot over the last 3 weeks of the season after, you know, a fair amount of struggle.
We're able to pass the milestone of 450 wins. You're now top 10, I think 9th all time for coaching wins in the history of Michigan high school hockey.
Like that. I didn't have a certain number of years in mind that I was going to do it or anything like that, but what's happened over the next 30 years, you know, I couldn't have scripted it any better.
Well, and a capper for the year program has named the locker room after you, so a small part of Howe Arena is going to be engraved with your name forever.
It hit me what was going on. I was just shocked. I couldn't believe it. And you could have given me 100 guesses before that as to what was happening, and I never would have guessed that. So it's a big honor for me. I never would have seen that one coming. You know, who knows how long I'll keep coaching. You know, I don't have a number in mind, but to know that that's always going to be there, and a collective effort from a lot of people over a lot of years, and I guess I get the benefit of having my name on it.
And you can catch more of Harrison's conversation with Chris tonight during sports at 11. Let's take a quick break, but coming up next, another look at the live results for our question of the day and a few of your comments. Stay with us.
Salon services are furnished by Epiphany Advanced Academy in East Acme.
Well, a bill has been proposed in Lansing that would require in many cases that a conservation officer must get a warrant before going on private land, much like a traditional police officer. So our question today is, do you think officers should be required to get search warrants before entering private property? We have 373 votes. Overwhelmingly, people are saying yes. On Facebook, Courtney says, yes, they should. They aren't any better than any other law enforcement agency. I can't find any comments from someone who voted no. The only no I see is from Adam. He says, nope, they shouldn't be able to go on private property, period. You can join the conversation on our Facebook page right now, but we are all out of time on Unscripted. Thank you for joining us. We hope to see you back here at 11 o'clock tonight.